for Nerd Squared, and it's Among the
Yeah,
Sleep Run. Take it away.
yeah, thank you. So, I'm Nerd. You might remember me from the Ju-On run I commentated earlier in the week. Following in the theme of calling and Ju-On, and following the theme of this marathon, of course, I'm going to run a couple of horror games for you guys. The first one I'm going to do of the two is Among the Sleep. It's a kind of a first-person indie horror game by a indie developer from Norway known as Crowbite Studio. They've made a few other games besides Among the Sleep. The Plan is a pretty good one if you've heard of that. But Among the Sleep was their attempt at making a horror game, and in a casual playthrough, this game takes you around 2 hours, and the estimate is a lot lower than that. Something else I want to mention as well. Obviously, this run is going to use glitches because it's any percent, but I'm specifically playing on version 2.0 of the game. There's different patches that came out for the game, and the different patches allow for different glitches and different routes, and I'll talk about those later. But yeah, actually, we're not going to start the run just yet. I have to do a glitch real quick here before the run starts. So I'm going to start a new file here. And I'm going to skip this cutscene real quick. There we go. Once I skip the intro there, the game creates a checkpoint. I'm just gonna not load from last checkpoint, but go back to the main menu. What that will do here is when I start a new story again, once I enter the opening cutscene there, I can just go to the pause menu and load from last checkpoint to skip the cutscene instead of having to press space twice. It saves a couple seconds there. I tried to get that set up beforehand, so that's that. There's going to be a little scene here where, or not scene, but screen here, where I have to press space to get past it in order to start the game, and time is going to start when I press space here. So assuming tech is ready for the countdown, we're going to get going in 3, 2, 1. Let's get this going. Alright. So very first... Oh, wait. I have to load from last checkpoint real quick. I forgot about that. I just explained the glitch and I forgot about it. Alright. So, at the start here, we have a bit of waiting. We have about 2.5 minutes here until we get to the actual action here. First off, though, we're going to meet our companion character, which is that walking and talking teddy bear. His name is Teddy, and we're going to use him for... Well, he's going to be our companion character throughout the game. He's just going to talk for a bit, and while he's talking, we're going to arrange some items, this item here, for an upcoming skip. Once we get to the end of this sort of an auto-score section, although there's ways you can speed it up, as you'll see in a second. So there's two main glitches that we'll use in this run. Oh, well, first off, I have to do a little trick here. I have to press escape to pause the game at a certain time, because this is a tutorial for the pause system. So that way I can go over to grab this elephant at the earliest possible moment. There we go. Got the elephant. I'm gonna trigger this music box here. So there's two, as I was trying to say before I got caught up in explaining things, there's kind of two main glitches that we use in this run. The first trick, which I'll demonstrate here while I'm waiting for Teddy, is something called an item boost. So like a lot of games, when you grab objects, while you're holding the object, they don't have collision, but as soon as you let go of the object, they regain collision. So what you can do is place yourself inside of, say, a building block like this one, move forward, and then when you're inside of in the middle of the object, you let go of the object, you'll get a little boost upward like that, as you saw. And you can use that to get over walls, invisible walls, and things like that. You can also see the other glitch that I'll be using is something called a stool boost, although you can do it on any object. We just call it stool boosting because that's most often what we do the glitch on. In a similar way to, well, not in a similar way, but when you grab an object, the game pushes you back a certain amount based on where you grabbed onto the object. And if you grab the objects at certain points, as you'll see in a second, you'll get pushed really far back. And if you do that while next to a wall or a corner, you will get pushed through the wall. And I'm going to try to do that here to skip a sequence where we would run through this hallway, or run through this closet area here, like in Chronicles of Narnia. It's a little tricky though, but I got it. Alright, so that's the intro done already. as soon as we get into the end of the closet there, we trigger a cutscene that leads into the next chapter. And from here on, the run's going to get pretty hectic. Each chapter from here is a major skip where we utilize all the basic glitches I just explained. First off here, we're going to use this elephant to item boost on top of this door here to be able to open it. You would have to use this stool here, but we can just item boost here with the elephant to avoid that. And open the door there. And we're going to use the elephant again to boost over this railing here. And there's a fun side effect of doing this item boost right here that you'll see in a second once I get to the bottom of the stairs. So by doing this item boost here, the trigger that loads in this wall doesn't happen, so we can just go through the wall there to the stairs without having to do the rest of the house section here. You'd have to go around the house normally to try to find your mom, who's we think right now is missing, and there'd be a bunch of spoopy jump scares and all that, but we just go straight to the end of the chapter there. So there's a really tough trick here that I hope I get. It's going to be an out of bounds here where I climb on top of this rock right here and then go to the end of the chapter. In between each level there are these kind of memory chapters, as they're called, where you insert an item that's kind of serves as a piece of memorabilia that'll guide you to where your mom is or where you think your mom is. But and normally there'd be a cutscene where you have Teddy help you open the door, but I need to concentrate. Actually, this is kind of hard to do while talking. This part in particular. The rest of it isn't too bad, though. Come on, buddy. Come on. There we go. Alright, this drop on the pipe is a little risky. Oh, gosh. Come on. Work with me. Okay. That went a little awry there, but we'll just give it a retry. This and a trick in the next chapter is the one I'm most worried about, so it's good to get it out of the way in the first 4 minutes. Yeah, that boost on top of the rock can be a little finicky. You kind of have to hold up left to get on top of the rock there. And sometimes Teddy, as you're moving around here, Teddy can follow you around and he can get you kind of stuck if he's in a bad spot, which makes it annoying to get on top of this pipe to retry the trick. Alright, please cooperate with me, baby. Thank you, okay. It's not over yet, though, because I can still fall off right here. Okay, I thought I was going to fall off there, but we're fine. So now with that bit of out-of-bounds platforming, we can go straight to the end here. There'd normally be a cutscene where you learn how these machines work. Throughout the game, you collect these memories that are supposed to lead you to where your mom is. And in between each chapter, as you saw there, you would have to put the memories in the machine that will let you access a slide, which is how you go between levels to access the next chapter. But by going out of bounds there, we can just go right to the end. There used to be a much more inconsistent method for that involved item boosting off of a building block that's at the start of the chapter. But that method that I did there is a lot more consistent because it avoids having to do the very random item launch. This chapter is really fun. It's the playground. And once I get to the end of this vent here, there's a really funky glitch that I'm going to do. In short, we're going to make the baby fly. How you do it is you get into the opening of this vent here, and I'm going to spam the lean keys while moving forward and waggling the camera. If I do it right, it looks like I did it right, so I'll just go ahead and crouch here. Okay, so by doing those, by spamming the lean keys while moving forward there and waggling the camera, of course, that skewed the angle that the baby's facing. So because of the fact that the baby's in this skewed state, if we try to move at all on certain inclines, we get launched into the air. And we're going to use that to our advantage here to go straight to the end of the chapter. Throughout this chapter, you'd have to get owl statues like the one I grabbed on the merry-go-round at the start of the chapter. But we can just go straight to the end here where the slide is to go to the next memory chapter. There is a bit of danger with this one. If you land at a wrong point, you'll die and have to start the chapter from the beginning. But generally, if you go a few feet in like that, you avoid the death trigger. And getting up into the slide is a little tricky because you kind of have to go at an angle like that in order to hit that load trigger from outside the slide. This memory chapter is a little slower than the previous one because you can do the same out of bounds glitch I did earlier to get to the end, but For the memory chapters past the first one that I did, there's actually an invisible wall preventing you from getting to the end. So you kind of have to do the rest of these memory chapters as is. And you'll notice, you can probably hear in the mic, what I'm doing is I have my left index finger on the left mouse button, and then I'm rolling my 2 fingers on my left hands to do really rapid left click inputs in order to get the memory there in the machine as soon as possible. Gonna do an item boost here to hopefully get on top of Teddy. There we go. This just lets me get through this door a little sooner. Otherwise, you'd have to grab Teddy and then go through the door. Alright, now we're going to the 3rd chapter, which is the Forested House. The Forested House is where we put the stool boost glitch I explained at the start to good use. Because throughout this chapter, you'd have to collect 3 jigsaw puzzle pieces. As you get a piece, you gain access to the next section of the chapter. I had to pause real quick there because my mouse is going out the window. You have to get jigsaw puzzle pieces in order to access the next sections of the chapter until you eventually get to the end where there's a chase sequence between 2 enemies that are kind of strange to describe, but I like to call them tree women because they're like tall, slender beings that are built out of tree branches. We're just going to get the first puzzle piece though and put it right here, because right there is where the end of the chapter is, and we'd have to get 2 other puzzle pieces to access that part, but we're going to grab this handy chair here and do another stool clip. And luckily this one has a pretty consistent setup. We just grab around this corner right here, and we're through the tree first try. That one used to cause a lot of grief in my runs because that particular stool clip used to be extremely inconsistent because we didn't have a good way of doing it, but now we do. Interesting quirk actually with version 2.0 is that it changed the way you could drag objects. So like, say, you might have noticed when I was moving that chair, it was kind of stationary in terms of the direction it was facing. So pretty much if you're dragging an object, it stays facing in the direction where it originally was when you grabbed it. So like originally what you would do in the older versions is you would put the chair in a certain way and then grab it at the base of one of these knobs at the base of the chair, and that would push you enough to get past the tree, but it doesn't work on... It works on the newer versions like this one, but it doesn't work as well. So we just do that method I did instead. And we also do another stool clip there on that tree, or not on that tree, but on that chair. It just lets me go through that vent instead of having to open it. We have another memory chapter here, but there's not a whole lot going on during this one. It's much the same as before, and we can't skip it. So if you have anything if there's anything we have time to read something, so if you have anything you want to read out, this would be a good time.
Alright, he sounds good. We do have a question from the chat. They remember watching version 2, so what's exactly is the difference between version 1 and version 2?
So the version 2, basically it's hard to explain, but like, to put simply, the levels, like the certain glitches or like certain ways we could use glitches were patched out. So for example, in the very start of the game when I did the first chapter, there's a glitch you could do where if you immediately hit low from last checkpoint after skipping the initial cutscene, you could go straight to the home area where I did that item boost with the elephant instead of having to go through the waiting section with Teddy. But on the newer versions you can't do that, it was patched out. And like, I think in certain areas they were designed a little differently so that you can, say, wall boost or item clip past them, just because of how items interact with the baby character that we play as. So those are the main differences. Like, clipping works differently, and there's some glitches that were patched out.
Very interesting, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, for a short indie horror game like this that doesn't have a big speedrunning audience, there's like probably 8 people in total that run this game. It's actually had a pretty interesting history with the glitches that are found for it. I want to give a quick shout out to Flower, a Russian speedrunner who currently holds the world record for this. at around a 1524, and I have a 1611. So we're into the closet. Kind of like the previous chapter where we're supposed to collect those jigsaw puzzle pieces. We would have to collect different, I guess you could say, toys. That there's first we'd have to get a moon toy and then a toy that looks like a star. But as you can guess, we're going to go out of bounds with some item boosting to skip past it. Also, that corner I was moving in over there, it doesn't have collision if you just nudge yourself up against it. So we can just go right out of bounds there. And this item boost is a nuisance, because this box is not in the right orientation for it, so this might take a few tries. Oh boy, come on, buddy. There we go, got it. It's not over yet though, because I have to fall out of bounds here, and if I fall in bounds in the wrong way, I can die from fall damage. That's alright, that didn't happen. Except, when you clip back in bounds here, as you can see, you can get stuck on that lamp. I've seen other routes where you end up on top of the table, but I haven't managed to get it consistently. So the end of the chapter is right there. That's the next memory. In that room over there, behind this white glow, is where we would have to get the next memory. And we'd have to get the star jewel to get past the door here, but speedrun tech, we can just use the 9 clip to get in the room. And we would have to grab the elephant here, but, or not the elephant, it's actually I forget what it is actually, but we can skip grabbing the memory by just going in here and then wiggling through that door. And we're at the end of the chapter. We just have to get to this slide here. And yeah, we're pretty much at the end of the game. Yay. Except we're not, because one of those... The enemy of this chapter here is going to grab Teddy. And unfortunately we're going to get separated from him. No! Rest in peace, Teddy. Because we're not going to see him for the rest of the game. We do have his arm, though, now, which is important for opening doors. Because there's one last door here we're going to have to open towards the end. Alright. So in this end section, you'll see some lights appearing. We pretty much have to wait for those lights appearing to progress. At least for this first one, but once this first one triggers, you can just run forwards for a bit. And then when the next light triggers, you go in the direction of the light. And one movement optimization you're seeing here that I haven't explained yet because there's so much to explain with this run. When you run out of stamina in this game, because yes, this game does have stamina, you fall on the ground and crawl because you play, in this game you play as a baby. But the fastest way to move, at least the most optimal way to move, is to, as soon as you fall down from losing stamina, you get back up by pressing the stand button, which is space, in my case, and you just keep on going. There's also some points where if I'm almost out of stamina and I need to still sprint for a bit, I'll generally like stagger my sprint, as I like to call it, by just letting go and pressing shift with a certain rhythm. So yeah, we have to wait here for a bit until a certain point in the dialogue, and then we can get moving again. There's some lore here, but speedruns, we can ignore it for the most part. It's not like you won't be able to understand much of it anyway, because I'm actually playing in Norwegian. When I was practicing for this event, to submit to this event, I decided for fun that I would play in with the Norwegian voice lines, just for fun, because the developers are from Norway, and it turns out that it saves around 10 seconds in the opening chapter with Teddy. Which definitely surprised me a bit when I found that out, but hey, it's a thing, so we take those time saves. So we have one last clip coming up, or actually there's 2 clips coming up, but the first one is really easy. First I have to put the elephant in here. And these interactions you'll see in the next couple of seconds are pretty quick, because normally we'd have to wait for Teddy to do these things for us, but we're by ourselves, so we can just like put his arm in right here and open the door. And there's a clip you can do in the store, but it's really free. You just have to like as soon as you put the arm in, hold up and sprint, or not even hold up and sprint, but just hold forward, and then just spam the crawl button, and then you'll get through the door as soon as you're able to get through it. There's one last clip here that I'm gonna do. This will skip an interaction with our mom, who drank a little too much, as you would see if we were doing a casual playthrough. But we can skip that interaction with her by using another stool clip. Getting the stool through that spot is a little finicky because there's a lot of hitboxes that you have to drag the stool through, and the hitbox for it is kind of narrow. But yeah, we use a stool clip there to get out of bounds, and we're gonna walk towards this bright light here. And time is when a line of dialogue appears here in a second. Time.
Very nice.
Yeah. Well, what time is it?
If you give me a second, we can
Alright.
see it's 1835.
Wow, that's really nice. With the mishaps in the starting chapter, like the starting memory chapter, I was expecting it to be at least 20, but sub 20 minutes by that much is really good.
Yeah, it was really nice. So coming up next is going to be your Outlast 2 run. So everybody watching, just stick around. We need to change games, and we will be right back.
Mm-hmm.